Alright, welcome back to our Autodesk 3ds Max 2018 YouTube classroom. This is video number 8. If you're following along with the class, this is quarter 1, week 2, day 1. Today we're going to work on sub-object modeling and pivot modification. So everything that we do from now on is going to be based off of sub-object modeling. Okay? Today we're going to create a lid for our chest. Now we have this mesh that is named m_chest, and what we want to do now is make sure we have angle snap on, which is up here, and I'm going to hold shift and drag it along the x-axis. Now I could drag it along any one of these. They turn gold when you get ready to drag it, and x is what I'm going to do. Hold shift, drag along x, and I should get 5-degree increments all the way down to 180, and I'm going to let go, and it's going to say, hey, you want to copy instance of reference, and we're going to copy, except we're going to call it lid, L-I-D, so m_lid. Okay, cool. Now that that's done, when I created this, I was smart and I made sure I created it along the grid, so everything should snap perfectly. So I'm going to hit W, and I'm in the left view now. I'm going to drag up and hit S if I'm not snapping already, and make sure that I am snapping. So I have now snapped this up to the top. Now if I hit F3, I'm going to hit perspective, hit F3, and now I'm going to see through to the wireframe. Now that's cool, but this doesn't exactly look the way I want it, but it's the basic shape, right? It's a lid, it's just too tall and it's not curvy. So let's fix that. Let's fix the tallness first. So I'm going to hit L for left so I can get into my orthographic view. Okay? The orthographic view is great for adjusting things along a grid. Now I'm going to marquee select, hit, well first I've got to look at the modify tab, and then I'm going to go into vertex. Now if I select, oh, I'm getting circle selection, so I need to hit Q a few more times. There, I want square select. If I grab this and hit W, you'll notice that my widget is not directly on the vertice, which should freak you out. If I do this, it's offset. If I do this, it's right on it. That's because, and I'm going to hit F3 right now, if I get the inside of it, it's going to look different because it's splitting the difference between the back vertices and the front vertices. If you look at it from the front, you'll notice that when I grab vertices, I get 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4 left. So I'm going to grab all of them. I'm going to grab all 8 of them because I'm going to get the front and back, and I'm going to snap them down to here somewhere. Now I don't really need to snap here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to turn snapping off because I want it to be exactly this big for now, because that to me looks a little better. This is our Minecraft chest currently. Okay, now what I can do now, I've adjusted F3, I've adjusted the chest lid so it's square and it looks like that, but I think we can do better. So hit F3, marquee select all the vertices on the top, then hit R and make sure you have select and uniform or select and non-uniform scale. Either one is fine. Grab the x-axis and bring it in. That looks pretty good. And we can basically ballpark this. I'm not too concerned about it being perfect. If I really wanted to, I could hit W and then make sure snapping is back on by hitting S and then snap it to there to make sure it's perfect. So now it's perfectly aligned with the grid. So it is, what is that, 60, no. Each one of these squares is 10 centimeters, so it's 30 centimeters high. Now, this looks better. Right? Looks better, but it's still not curvy. I want to make it curvy. If I hit F3 and hit the number 2, it will automatically change my sub-object selection to edge. And then if I marquee select across just the middle edges, I can get all of these outside edges, which are what we're going to bend. We want them to warp, but you can't warp them without more geometry to warp them with. So I select them both, and I'm going to insert a loop. Now, by inserting a loop, it creates a loop all the way around. This means that it's going to be on the inside and the outside. Now I could grab this and try and scale it out, but then it gets weird because I've got the outside edges and the inside edges. So instead of edges, I'm going to hit number 1. I'm going to select the inside edges only. I'm going to make it so that they curve more. So I'm going to hit W and I'm going to move them up and turn snapping off. Move them up, and then I'm going to move them out by hitting R and scaling them out. Down. This is definitely more of a ballpark thing. You do not have to make this perfect. I mean, it's cool if it's perfect, but it's up to you. I think that looks pretty good. It doesn't really matter. All right, I'm going to turn F4 off so I can see it. So that's what my chest currently looks like. Now you'll notice I've got a hard edge right here, but no hard edge right here. This looks smooth. That's weird, because this is only 1 face, 2 faces, 3 faces, 4, 5. So there's 5 faces that make up this curve. But if I turn F4 off, that looks really smooth, like it's made out of a ton of faces. Well, that's because of what we call smoothing groups. So I'm going to hit F4 and turn that back on. Hit the number 4, and I'm going to select faces. Now if you select faces, you can actually hold Control and click and add more faces to this selection. Once I select all of these faces, I can go over here to polygon smoothing groups. In polygon smoothing groups, basically what this says is whichever face is given the same number will be smooth in relation to the faces with the same number that it touches. So what I need to do is I need to make sure they are all the same number. In this case, I'm going to choose 2 because 2 was already selected, like 6 is. See, 6 is like disappeared, but it's not blue. That means it was selected. So I'm going to select 2, and then I'm going to click 6 until it's back to its normal gray. So now what I've done is I've said every single one of these faces, I'm going to hit F4 again, should be the same smoothing group. And now it looks pretty smooth considering there's only 5 slots there. I'm going to hit P for perspective so you can see it a little better. And you'll be able to, of course, see your own. Now, this works out really well because now I've got this whole lid. It's a separate thing. And what I want the lid to do is I want the lid to pivot. So I want to be able to rotate that so it looks like it's opening. But currently that doesn't work the way I want it because the pivot point is not where I think the pivot point should be. Now in the left view, I can see the pivot point is linked up here to this grid line. But what I want it to be is I want it to be linked down here to this vertice. I still, want it to be on the 0 line of X, but I want it to be linked and spaced here so it opens up like. So, you're welcome for the sound effects, by the way. So what we're going to do now is we're going to change the pivot point. The pivot point, I'm going to hit W so I can move this thing around, but that's not going to work. So I need to undo that, go up here to where it looks like it's called the hierarchy tab. It looks like a node with 2 little children coming off of it. Anyway, we're going to select Effect Pivot Only, and then we're going to right-click on Snaps and change Grid Point Snap to Vertex Snap. So now I can move along the Y and X axis at the same time using the W modifier, or not modifier, but W key, and then snap it automatically to one of these vertices. Now realistically they're all in the exact same place on the Z and X axis, so that's probably good enough. Now while I'm here, I'm going to realign this because right now the lid thinks that up, because every single object has its own idea of what's up. So the chest thinks up is up, which makes sense, and front is that way. The lid is confused. It thinks up is down. So we are going to hit E, and we are going to rotate this until up is 180 degrees. So up is still up. And the X-axis is the way that we rotate. Okay? Cool. There's a lot of other stuff we're going to do about proper rotational positioning, especially when we get to bones. But for now, I just want this to mean up and that to mean up. Once this is done, we can affect the pivot only button, turn it off, and now when we rotate this, it opens up. It's still goes inside if you do it wrong. But initially, that looks pretty good. Cool. Now, I just undid my rotation and then hit left. Now, while I'm still snapping the vertex, I'm going to create my hinges. I'm going to create cylinder hinges. So I'm going to click on cylinder in the create tab. And I'm going to go under height segments, and I'm going to right click on the spinner, which are these little arrows. I'm going to right click height segments, and that takes it as low as it'll go, which is 1. That's where I want it to be. Now I'm going to create this with keyboard entry again. Okay, I'm going to create this at keyboard entry. I want to look at the top view, and I want the radius to be 2 centimeters, which is pretty small because these are going to be hinges. And I want the height, which is how long they are, to be, let's say, 5 centimeters. Let's create that and see how it looks. Now, because I created it in the top view, it made it that way. If I undo that and do left, and I create it in the left view, it creates it so it's always pointing the camera. All right? Now, that's pretty cool, and it worked pretty well, but it's not exactly the way I want it to be because I think it's too thick. I'm going to move it up to roughly where I wanted it to be, but I don't think it's the right size. So I'm going to go in the modify panel. I'm going to change the radius to 1 centimeter. Whoops, I hit Q. 1 centimeter, and the height I'm going to change to 10 centimeters. Cool, that looks better. Now from the top view, I'm going to turn on my grids and set it back to grid points, hit vertex, and then close it. And I'm going to drag it over so it snaps right about there. So it's 20 units off, so it's minus 20 centimeters along the x-axis. If I hit shift and drag another one over, and I'm going to call this M underscore hinge, H-I-N-G-E underscore, let's see, this is the right as you look at it. So I'm going to call that right hinge. I'm going to copy that, click OK. I'm going to select this, and then under my cylinder 01, I'm going to paste it in there and change it to L for left. So now in the front view, you can't see them, but if I hit E and perspective view so you can see it better, I'm going to turn snapping off by hitting S, rotate that, and now you can see I've got hinges that are subtle. They're the wrong color. I think I'm going to make them black. Cool. I could have selected both of them. I should have, but I didn't. Anyway, so now they're black. That's good. Cool. Now we've got our hinge system. So now our object is ready to go. I just grab this and, oh, what? That's not right. We want things to move together. I want to be able to grab the chest itself and move the lid with it. Well, in order to do that, I need to do select and link, which is these little chain links up here. Click that. Now click your lid, hold control, click your hinge, now click your other hinge, and all of them are blue now. Now I can click any one of these blue objects, left click and drag, and you see I've got little lines coming off of it because these are now going to be paired up and attached to the parent. The parent in this case is going to be the chest. So if I let go, it'll flash for a second, and now if I hit W and I grab just this object, it moves together, which is what we want. So now you've got to remember that whenever this moves, and you can rotate this or whatever, everything moves with it. This is a parent-child relationship. The children always follow the parent, okay? But the parent does not always follow the children. So I can move this up and down on its own, and it doesn't move the parent. But if I move the parent, the children move with it. And that is the last thing I needed to show you today. Today we created the lid. We made it smooth on the top. If you'd like to, you can make it smooth on the inside too. Now that you know the process, it might be good to go back and review this whole top section because that can be confusing. And then we put in hinges, linked them up, and then linked everything to it. And that's a lot of stuff. So I hope you got a lot out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. And now I think we are ready to start filling this with booty. Got some gold and gems and all sorts of stuff. So I will see you in video 9 when we make some booty. See you next time.